Hi, everybody. Welcome to Practice with Kride. Today, I wanted to talk about some practice techniques that I take for granted, but you may or may not be doing. So these are just ideas that I have. First of all, today I'm going to, number one is the goal. Do I actually have something in mind, or am I just, playing whatever I feel like for whatever reason? But today I wanted to practice technique. I've already done my long tones, I've done my harmonics, and I'm practicing out of the Tapagill and Gilbert book, which is a wonderful technique book. It's fantastic, just great. But anyway, so I open this up to something I've done before, and I see three pieces of important information even before I get started. Number one, I've done it before. Number one, so um, uh, I guess that's an important piece too. Four pieces. So number one, I see metronome markings. So the last time I played this at 76, and I have an S there. That's my notation that I played it at 76 for each four note group, making these 16ths, not 30 seconds. But I played it at 76, but it was sloppy. It wasn't exactly perfect. So I might notate that it was that speed, but it was sloppy, just so I know that I shouldn't shoot for 76. I didn't really do it last time. The second piece of information that's really important is I bracket the hardest parts. So at the very tops of the range of the flute are the hardest parts of this exercise for me. So coming back to it, I realized those are the parts I should look at first as far as practicing. Okay. The third piece of valuable information is I take a look at the top, and in the Tapagill and Gilbert book, they give actually here's 10 possible ways to articulate this exercise. Well, last time I played it, I ignored all that and pretty much just slurred everything. So this time practicing through, I'm going to go ahead and pick an articulation, and in this case do uh, I'm going to do articulation number 3, which, and I'll check it so I know I've done it when I come back to this. So articulation 3 is tongue one, slur two, tongue one, slur three. Ba ba da da ba ba da da. Now, another thing that I sometimes do is say the date that I'm here. So this is 9/16. So if I come back to this, I'm sorry, 9/19. So if I come back to this, say 2 years from now at 21, I come back and I go, okay, this is what I did back 2 years ago, and I should expect to play it better. Now, knowing that the hardest part is the part I've bracketed already, that's where I'll start practicing. And once again, I've already done long tones and I've already done some overtone workup, so I'm semi warmed up. I would never just jump right into the high part of the flute without some kind of a warm up. Maybe for some people that's easy and you don't risk any kind of injury, but for me, I'm careful, so I always warm up before I jump into the high part. Now, what I've told students to do is the first time you play something, rather than say play it perfect, I'll say play it like you have to pay me $20 for every wrong note. Okay. So that's how I'm going to play this. I'm going to play it so slow that I don't make any mistakes. And I'm going to start in my bracketed area, which starts on a B flat. So I'm in the exercise in the third line. These are all diminished, fully diminished chords. So it's 1 flat 3, flat 5, and then 6. So the first, so that's the harmonically what's going on. So I'm starting. I'm going to do my bracketed pattern again, and I'm not doing articulations. I'm just making sure I can hit the notes. Uh-oh, made a mistake. I almost sold $20. Again. Now I did my own cardinal rule. 2 mistakes, slow it down. All right. Now, there's always a question, should you practice something a little harder than what you can do very slow, or should you practice something easier and get it to a faster level? And that's a decision you have to make. In my own situation, I really like the sound that this is, and I want to keep the diminished sound in my head when I'm improvising. So for me, I want to have these available, and that's why I'm going to go over and over and over until I can play a diminished chord whenever I feel like it, basically, or even the diminished scale. So here's that portion again. Uh, and it's also important to know, why are you doing something? What are you trying to accomplish? Am I just trying to get faster fingers? Yes. Am I trying to build my reading skills? Yes. But more importantly, I want these in my muscle memory so I can bring them when I'm improvising. So I'm not 1,000% centered in on playing it perfectly as if I'm performing this in an orchestra, because I don't do that. I 90% of my playing is improvised. Yeah, that's probably about right, 90%. So my goal is to integrate this into my ability to improvise. So that being said, let's go back to the beginning. Let's put a metronome to it and the articulation mark. So we're going to tongue 1 and slur 3. I use online metronome, which I love because it tracks how long I practice and my goals. So let's put this, now it's marked in 30-second notes. I'm going to pretend these are eighths. So bop, ba, da, da, bop, ba, da, like that. So I'm playing it extremely slow just to get it under the fingers. From the very beginning, this is exercise number 16, and it's on page 60 in the book. 2, 3 with the articulation. So sometimes I have to find my embouchure down low, so I have to go back and just do target practice on those low notes. So I'll go back to it. Again. Once again, I'm trying to get familiarity. That's as important to me as playing the entire thing or playing it faster. All right, I'll do the next grouping of 4. I'll do the next 4 parts of that exercise, 4 pieces. Again. Next 4. That's easy. Next 4. Now I'm playing them, reading them. Eventually I want to have it memorized, starting on the next 4. Again, I'm going to do that 4 again. Next 4. I'm going to do that 4 again. Next 4. Now the high register of the flute for me is very difficult. We all have different areas that are tough. For me, the high end's tough. So I have it bracketed, and probably the best use of my time would just be to sit on those exercises that are harder parts of the exercise. So I'm going to go back to I'm going to play that bracketed part starting on high C. And my goal is to make this as easy as eating a bowl of cereal. In other words, I want it automatic. I don't want to have to think about it. I just want it to come right out. 2, 3. And coming from a saxophone background, I'm just not used to seeing a high A flat written. I mean, I never had that written music in sax music. So for flute, it's like, whoa, I've got to relearn reading music in that part. Not relearn, but learn reading music in that area. All right, so I'm doing this. I would like to have a goal, so I leave this knowing what I want to do. First of all, I have check marked the articulation of the 10 up here on top. So when I come back to this again, I know I have done that articulation and maybe move on to another articulation. So what I'll also end up doing is putting a metronome marking up there on that articulation for how fast I got it. So I don't think it's going to be much faster than this for right now. I want it accurate, I want it even, and I want my time to be good. So, in fact, I had a teacher years ago that said T, time, even, accurate, and that was really Dan Zinn said that basically. All right, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to do as much as I can. Low C. I don't know why, but coming down is easier than going up. All right, I'm pushing the beat, I'm rushing, so that I'm at an area where it's easy for me. So that's at 66. I'm going to go to 69. Kick it up just one metronome marking. 2, 3. You can practice with me if you want. Beginning. 2, 3, 4. hitting that A always makes me stumble for some reason. So I'm going to do that a few times. I'm starting on B flat. So this is a case. You're always doing two things. You're always working on a technique, and then you're also integrating that within a greater piece of music. So I think I can probably do that descending diminished on the A, but it's coming into it from the previous four note cell. That's the problem. So I'm going to go back to the B flat, and then I'll try and get into the A. So here's the B flat, 1, 2, 3. One thing to bear in mind also is physically, are you is there any danger in doing this? And the reason I say that is because I know for me, I have just spaced and said, okay, for 10 minutes, I'm doing something. And I've done something over and over and over again to nail in the key work. And for my physicality at my age, I can have RSIs, repetitive stress injuries, if I'm not careful. So I try and do some stretching beforehand, and I take frequent breaks as I practice. All right. And also in the comments below, put down what works for you. What practice techniques have worked best for you? I'm just giving you a compilation of the best practice techniques that I've gained from various teachers. I've studied with many teachers over many years, and this is what's been well for me. Now, also, it's nice to have an end goal and in mind. And in my case, it would be nice to read this faster, just to build reading chops. But I guarantee you, what I want to end up doing is say on a if I'm doing an A minor thing. So you see what I'm saying? That's how I'm probably going to use it. So that's why I want these cells, these four note groupings, really well under my fingers, so I can actually take something rhythmically and apply it to them as I'm soloing. Because I think this would be a great thing on an extended one minor chord to be able to go up and down diminished patterns. I think that sounds really cool. So that's my purpose here. All right. Now, your purpose may be different. For you, you might be trying to gain mastery of reading chops. Like I spent a lot of time working on sight reading when I was playing trumpet way back in high school and when I was going to Berklee College of Music. I mean, I got really good where I could sight read most things right off the bat. No rehearsal, nail it the first time. If that sight reading is a thing you want to work on, then for sight reading, you don't practice this. You come back to it over and over again and sight read it. If you're gaining finger dexterity and quickness and technique, tech chops, you work on it over and over and over and over until you've built up your speed of your fingers. If you're working on it from a reading standpoint, you're reading it over and over and over again, which I'm doing now. And once I have read it at a level, I'll probably end up memorizing it. But my point is that I know what I'm doing, I know why I'm doing it, and I'm moving in that direction. Because I've had a couple new students this week, and I've said it's really important to know, what do you want to do? Do you want to build up reading chops? Do you want to read music out of book? That's fine. That's a skill set. Do you want to be able to turn on the radio or a CD or a television show or whatever and be able to pick up your flute or sax and play with it? That's a different skill set than being able to read a march off of a piece of music. So it's important to be able to know what you're actually aiming your practice toward. All right, let's go back to this. I'm using articulation number 3, number 16 of Taffagil and Gilbert, and I'll kick this up one notch. All right, so I'm at 72. Now, What I do also is I'll notate that. So I'll put a 72 equals eighth note. So I'm not even playing the sixth at 16ths yet. And they're written as 30 seconds. So the really good players, I'm sure, can whip through these much faster than I am. All right, eighth notes, the articulation, tongue one, slur three. Now, if I were performing this, I would sit on that low C until I could pop it whenever I want it. But I know my end result. I know how I want to use this information. So, and see, that's a valuable skill in itself, but that's why I don't sit on the low C. Now, since I know how I want to use this information, if I was actually practicing this, and I am practicing, but I'm also obviously stopping to record my thoughts. If I were actually going to if I was going to practice this for real, I probably would do this a few times through written, and then I would actually try and use the information as if I was playing. So I might go, I'll say I'm in G. So you get the idea. That's where I'm going to use that information. It's not just being able to play this if it comes up in written music. For me, I want to use it solo wise. Okay, that's enough for this practice session. I'm going to keep working on it, but that's the gist of how I practice and why I'm practicing and what I'm trying to accomplish. And like I said, the pieces of information, next time I come to this, when I come to this, I'll know the last time I worked on it was sometime in September of this month. And I know my metronome marking, and I know what articulations I've actually worked on. So coming back to it, I could say, okay, let's use a new articulation just to gain more facility. I hope this was helpful, guys. Welcome to Practice with Kride. Take care. Bye-bye.